What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Marty coming to you with another video. Here to talk about the new, highly anticipated Transformers Rise of the Beast. Before we get into it, if y'all can please leave a like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Thank you guys for tuning in, and now let's get on with the review. Transformers Rise of the Beast is the sequel to the prequel, Bumblebee. Bumblebee was such a fresh take in the new Transformers universe because we already know how the Michael Bay movie started turning out. They started off strong with the first Transformers, and then it kind of went downhill. I love Mark Wahlberg, but man, those two movies I wish I could erase from existence. But that first Transformers movie, I'll never forget it because that was like the first real introduction for me of Transformers. I've always seen the cartoons, I even seen the toys, but I never really watched the TV shows, and I never really played with the toys. So that first Michael Bay with the legend, the GOAT, Shia LaBeouf, was honestly really amazing to see on the big screen. And people were wondering, how is this new Transformers going to be? Is it going to be in the realm of the Michael Bay universe? Or is it going to be on the uprise like Bumblebee? And I'm happy to say that this movie was such a blast. I had a really good time in this movie. I took my 9-year-old, and honestly, we both loved it. Did this movie have its issues? Yeah, it did. But for the most part, and really the most part, it was truly entertaining. And the humans actually served the purpose in this movie. Now, for the most part, in the Michael Bay movies, the humans are disposable. Like, you don't really need certain characters, elements, storylines from the humans. But in this movie, like, both characters were integral to the movie. You got the character of Noah, who is just struggling for money, and he comes across Mirage, who is played by Pete Davidson. And you also have Elena, who works for this art museum where the MacGuffin first appears. I am one of those people who have never watched any of the Beast Wars shows, and after watching this, I'm like, I have to tune in because, yeah, I really love the characters, and especially Ron Perlman's Optimus Primal. So this was my introduction to them. A few of the characters didn't get a whole lot of screen time, but like I said, Ron Perlman's Optimus Primal and also Michelle Yeoh's Air Razor were amazing. And you already know Peter Cullen is back as Optimus Prime, and you know he put in that work. It kind of sucks because obviously he is getting older, so you do feel a little graspiness in his tone, but he's Optimus Prime and he is back with a vengeance. And I really love this take on Optimus Prime. In a way, he kind of like didn't like humans at first, and I just felt like he was so aggressive towards everybody. But, I mean, it's because he feels at fault for what happened to Cybertron. And the main Predacon, who is played wonderfully by one of my favorite actors, Peter Dinklage. Man, he was menacing as well. And I just love his voice. The voice fits perfectly with this Predacon. And I really enjoyed watching Unicron. Now, I don't know much of that character. I think there was an iteration of him in one of the Mark Wahlberg movies. But this was so cool. Like, I'm just glad that it wasn't like a cloud, you know, like how Galactus used to be, how he's this, you know, big universal monster person looking thing. But here, Unicron was actually just that, and he talked, and it was really cool to see this big life form appear in this movie. And the story is that Unicron has Surge looking for the keys. The keys first started with the Maximals, but then Unicron was able to wipe them out, but not before Optimus Primal and his group fled to Earth. If the Predacons get the keys, then Unicron is going to come and devour Earth. And so that key ends up being found in Elena's art museum, and that's how she gets involved in the story. She very much knows, you know, all the artifacts and art and even like the symbols and what they mean. Noah is struggling because he's a former like agent, and he has a brother to take care of. And he stumbles across Mirage because he was trying to steal this car for some money. And I gotta say, the Pete Davidson Mirage is definitely hit or miss. There were some moments where, you know, he's doing his typical Pete Davidson stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, it kind of got annoying. But when he was serious, or where he was just calmed down and did a joke every now and then, like, I didn't mind him at all. But Noah was no pushover. No, not at all. And he was not as jumpy as Shia LaBeouf was. Even though I love Shia LaBeouf, don't get me wrong. But Noah was such a badass, and he meant business. At one point, he was going to break the key so that Unicron doesn't come. And throughout the whole movie, him and Optimus don't see eye to eye. when Elena activates the key by accident, only the Autobots and the Predacons and the Maximals can see it. And there we get one of our first fights, and honestly, it is amazing. All the fight scenes in this movie are truly amazing. I watched this in a standard version, and I also loved how loud the fighting was, and just even when they transform, it was truly epic. And I can't imagine if I only saw this like in Adobe theater format or an IMAX, it just would have blown my socks off. And the fighting was clear too. Like you can see who's fighting who. But I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty sad that Bumblebee died kind of right away. Especially because we all know he's a fan favorite and he is definitely one of my favorites. So Scourge does end up taking the key, but it is not the full key. And so this leads us to our heroes traveling to Peru to go find the rest of the key. And the fight scenes in Peru were badass. Like they're going down this one road, and the Transformers and Air Razor are transforming and battling the Predacons. And Optimus is just going ham. He's like, "I will take off his head." They have to sneak through this party, and then the humans go underground, which leads them to meeting up with the Maximals. They have been hiding there for centuries, and they've also teamed up with humans there. Optimus is a little confused because the fact that Optimus Primal put like his faith in humans, and so like I said, since he doesn't see eye to eye with Noah, he's not really with or for humans right now, but he definitely does change the way later on. Scourge poisoned Air Razor, and so sadly Optimus Primal has to kill Air Razor because she was turning evil. They get the key and they summon Unicron, and that whole ending fight scene was just amazing. It was truly epic. I cannot stress this enough. If y'all haven't watched this on the big screen, y'all need to, because it is truly a good time. This is kind of where Pete Davidson was at his best as Mirage. He fights Scourge on himself, trying to get Noah and Elena some time to go defect the summoning of Unicron. He sacrifices himself, and we all thought he was dead, but actually not. He ends up giving his parts to Noah, which transforms Noah into a Transformer, basically. I remember at first when I saw that in the trailer, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of scared because I'm like, oh no, they're gonna give him an exosuit just to give him an exosuit, But now after watching this movie, like it definitely served a purpose because Mirage sacrificed himself to save Noah, and then he ended up giving himself to Noah and help fight the Transformers. When the Predacons summoned Unicron, there was a spark throughout like the world, and so that actually ends up bringing back Bumblebee to life. And that scene was amazing in itself as well. Bumblebee just leaves the airplane and he's coming down, flying down with LL Cool J's "Mama Said Knock You Out." Which reminds me too that this movie actually takes place in the 90s. I believe the Bumblebee movie took place in the 80s. And honestly, I love seeing all the music. I mean, all the gear, all the outfits that people wore, especially because I'm a 90s kid. In one scene, it felt like it was a song after song after song. That was kind of annoying in a way, but they didn't need like 3 or 2 songs back to back, But nevertheless, those songs I still rocked out to. They end up defeating Unicron, but they don't kill Unicron. They were getting sucked in to the portal or whatever, and Optimus was actually gonna sacrifice himself, but Noah actually helped save him, and along with Optimus Primal. But at this point, they were BFFs. This movie was a good time. It was very well entertaining, and it is definitely a good movie, a good follow-up to Bumblebee. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I feel like it could go higher for most people. It could go higher for myself too if I watched it again, because I really, really enjoyed this movie, y'all. Now let's get into the post-credits. So at the end of the day, Noah is still looking for a job, but he actually has the interview. And so he goes to the interview and he talks with that person about a security job, and it actually ends up being the G.I. Joes. They're talking, he's like, "We know about you." And he's like, "Think about it." And so then like the walls behind him, they open up. It's like a whole facility. And then the guy gave him a card. And so once the guy leaves frame, Noah looks at the card, turns around, and it says G.I. Joe. Now, obviously everything now has to be universe, right? It has to be universe. But I still think it's pretty cool, honestly. I didn't know that they were the same company. I know Where Have I Been? And I do understand that the G.I. Joes and the Transformers have teamed up. I don't know about in a TV show, but I know for sure for the comics they have. So it's only right. That'd be pretty cool to see a Transformers and G.I. Joe team up, because I actually watched the G.I. Joe movies, as bad as they are. And I do know of the G.I. Joe franchise. But me personally, I'm actually pretty excited, and I hope that this does go somewhere where the Transformers and the G.I. Joes team up. And for fun, y'all, I'm going to rank the Transformers movies right here, right now. At number 1, I'm going to have the first Transformers movies directed by Michael Bay. I really love that movie. It definitely got me hooked on the Transformers. It was like my official introduction to the movies, and I really had a good time with that. Number 2, I'm going to have this one right here, Transformers Rise of the Beast. It was such a good movie. The human characters were honestly the best they've ever been, and the action scenes, the entertainment, the Optimus Prime, the Primals. It was such a good movie, and it was very well entertaining, and I watched it with my son, like I said, so that for sure puts it at my number 2. Number 3, I'm going to have Bumblebee. That was such a nice, fresh take. The movie felt smaller and more grounded in a way, which I really, really loved. I really loved the story at hand, and even the action scenes, and even the introduction of like the reboot scene, the old designs were really cool to see. So that one definitely hit home, and that one is my number 3. And my number 4 is going to be Guilty Pleasure, which I think is just badass. It's a huge blockbuster at scope, and it is Transformers Dark of the Moon. And that is my list, because everything else is basically crap. But I guess at number 5, if I had to do a top 5, it'd be Revenge of the Fallen. That movie was, it was hit or miss. It definitely had some good moments. I forgot the name of the character, but the guy who is Sam's roommate in college and tags along with him on the journey, that dude was funny as hell. And also with Simmons, both of them, whenever they got together on the journey, it was just a good time. A funny time at that. And now that I think about Simmons, it would be honestly amazing if it was to be recruited by the G.I. Joe. Please get Simmons into the G.I. Joes. That would be perfect. But that is it, everybody. That is my review on Transformers Rise of the Beast. If you guys saw it, what did you guys think about it? Whatever I thought, comment below and let me know. And if you haven't already left a like and subscribe, please do so. That means a lot to me. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Autobots, roll out. And Maximals, maximize. Peace, y'all.